Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This month's video I've decided to do on my top tips for anybody new and going into recruitment. I know the industry is really buoyant at the moment and there are a lot of trainees and graduates going into the industry. So I thought by providing some top tips, things I've picked up from my own experience and working with graduates myself, it might help you get a head start and adapt to your new role a lot quicker. First of all, as soon as you start thinking about recruitment, I would do some serious research into the industry and the role. That might be using the internet, it could be you have friends that do the role. If you don't know anybody in recruitment, I would recommend you use something like LinkedIn, start connecting with some recruiters and see if anybody would be willing to chat to you. So you can interview them, learn more about the day-to-day of the job, the ups and the downs, to make sure that it is 100% something that you want to do. If you've already got an offer and accepted a job in a recruitment company and you're due to start, use that time to research. Give yourself a head start before you go into the organisation. It could be asking to do a shadowing day in the company before you start. It could be speaking to one of the more experienced consultants. It could be you just knuckling down and starting to look into what a recruiter does, building on the research you did from your interviews to make sure that you are all set and prepared for your first day. Once you start the role and you're in your training period, really immerse yourself into it. It's so important for you to take on board the training that you're going to be given by the company. They are showing you and telling you about the qualities that you need, the behaviours, how the role works, and for you to be a successful and a confident recruiter, you need to make sure you embed that learning. It's simple things that may sound obvious, but people may not make a priority. Take lots of notes in the training. Make sure that you listen. Don't be afraid to try things. The more that you practice and the more that you throw yourself into things when you're training, the more confident you'll be when you're then out on the phones, out in the office, and you're doing the job itself. If anything doesn't make sense, or you're struggling with anything, do not be afraid to flag it, because the training is the perfect time for you to address anything that you're not so confident in. And that links in with my third tip, which is immerse yourself then in the industry that you're going to be recruiting for. Normally, you'll either know the industry you're recruiting in before you start the job, or it might be during your training that they'll give you your different niche areas that you're focusing on. And it is really important to have some sort of a knowledge in those areas. If you show that you've got some sort of an understanding of the industry, it's going to give you that extra credibility and it's going to give you some extra confidence as well. So see if your managers have got any books they can recommend that you buy, any websites that you visit. You will of course start learning a lot more once you start speaking to your candidates in particular, but immerse yourself in it and really try to build on the knowledge that you're given in the training so you can learn about the, say, technology that you're going to be recruiting for or the industry that you're recruiting for. I started my career in IT and engineering recruitment. I then moved into and spent the majority of my recruiting career in the pharmaceutical industry, so recruiting for the commercial sales rep positions. And when I went into that role, I was obviously an experienced recruiter, but I'd never worked in that industry, and I was now dealing with clients and candidates that were working in the NHS, or the NHS were their customers. They were working with pharmaceutical drugs, medical devices. It was extremely technical. There was a lot for me to learn, and I never learned it all. I didn't need to learn it all, but I made sure that I had enough of an understanding that I could confidently speak to and understand what my clients and candidates were saying for me to be able to match them to the right roles or match the right candidates to them. Learn to work cohesively with others. So not just maybe the people that you're starting with that are in your training team, but the wider team, the wider organisation that you're joining. Teamwork is sometimes undervalued in recruitment. You have obviously got your own targets and goals, and you will need to be focused on those to be successful, but you also need to learn to work well within a team. It could be sharing best practice. It could be you build relationships with people in the office, they're supporting and helping you, and you're then supporting and helping them. It's just learning that you are part of a whole company and to work collaboratively with others. One of the things that's really going to help you when you start is really observe and listen to other people. Now, I don't mean spend all day just sitting there watching, listening, because you are going to have to do some work, but it's little things like hearing how maybe some of the experienced colleagues deal with a situation on the phone, or observing how they do their admin or structure their day. It's not just the trainers and the managers you can learn from. You can learn from the other colleagues around you, whatever level of experience they've got. So really start observing what's going on around you and paying attention to the things you feel will work for you. Because ultimately, you're not going to be a carbon copy of somebody else in the office. You will find your own way of working, which is the beauty of recruitment. You run your desk like it's your own little business. Start to hear what's going on around you and cherry pick the things that work for you that you can then integrate into your desk. At the end of the day in recruitment, you get out what you put in, and you need to work hard. It's just the way it is. You aren't always going to have things easy. And if you are serious about building a career in this industry, you need to, when you are in work, focus during those hours. You may well be brilliant friends with everyone around you, and yes, you will be doing some things as a team, but it's about less time chatting, more time focusing on your work, and making sure that every day you are taking hold of all the opportunities that are in front of you and creating opportunities for yourself as well. One of my biggest tips is learn to prioritize effectively. This will be part of your training, no doubt. This is something that takes time, so don't put pressure on yourself if by the end of month one you still feel you're getting the hang of this, but just start learning to think about it. This is where a lot of recruiters go wrong when they're learning. They waste time working on jobs or clients or candidates that ultimately are just wasting your time as well and aren't going to make you any money. Really take on board in the training the tips you're given about prioritizing and how to prioritize. Speak to others around you, speak to the more experienced colleagues about how they decide what to focus on over something else, and learning to sometimes drop what you're doing and do something else, because that ends up being more of a priority. It's all about sitting back and evaluating the tasks, the clients, the candidates that ultimately are going to bring money into your desk. You will learn this over time, but the sooner you realize it's important, the sooner you'll get the hang of it. In my opinion, what makes an excellent recruiter is not just somebody that's bringing in high billing figures. It's somebody that is practicing the skill of recruiting in an ethical, moral, and appropriate way. And what I mean by that is genuinely being a good recruiter. Somebody that is great with their candidates, keeps them updated, treats their clients well, has excellent rapport with them, and genuinely wants to help people. That is the great thing about recruitment. We're not only helping our candidates find their dream jobs, we're helping our clients with the gaps in their teams or solving problems for them. It's really, really rewarding. If you become a selfish recruiter who only cares about your figures and making your bonus, then you will in the long run not be as successful as the recruiters that genuinely want to be the top in their field. And you want to be seen as an expert recruiter by your clients and candidates. Start from the very beginning implementing positive behaviours with your attitude to your work, to your candidates, to your clients, how you treat people. Really think about, if I was that candidate, how would I want to be treated? You would want feedback from a job, whether it was a yes or a no. So do those things. If you were a client, you'd want to be kept updated if you were waiting for candidates. Do those things. Start thinking about the positive behaviours that you want to create and implement to your desk to make you an excellent recruiter. You are going to get a lot of rejection in your job. It's just the way recruitment goes. People tell you before you start, but ultimately until you experience it, that's when you realise that it's going to happen and you need to learn to deal with it. I'm fully aware that going into recruitment, some people haven't even worked in a sales role before. So that's okay. You're not going to have an exact similar experience to compare it to. But before you start and early on in your recruitment journey, think about experiences you've had in the past where you have dealt with and coped with rejection. It could be maybe not getting into your first choice university. It could have been being rejected from a part-time job you applied for. Loads of things. And ask yourself these questions. How did I deal with that rejection at the time? What did I learn from that experience? And how can I implement that into my recruitment career? Because you will have had transferable skills that you've picked up and transferable experiences that will help you in this recruitment role. The sooner that you become more comfortable with that rejection and build up that resilience, the more confident you'll be dealing with difficult situations in the job. Again, this will take time. Don't expect to be perfect as soon as you join and the first time you get rejection you don't care, because you probably will. Just start trying to implement coping mechanisms problems and reflecting on experiences where you can transfer those skills into your current recruitment job. When you start out in recruitment, you are going to have loads of support around you. You are going to have your managers, you're going to have the other people you're training with, your colleagues. You might even have a training manager or a learning and development manager in the business that you join. So use the support that's there for you. It can be tempting when we start a new job to want to prove ourselves, to want to seem like we don't need any help, that we're fine. But look, if there's something that you're struggling with, don't be afraid to ask for help, because it's there for you. You're in no way showing a weakness by asking for support in something. And I'm sure the company that you're joining would much rather you identify these things early on so they can help you than them build up and build up and build up, and then later down the line they manifest to become an issue for you. Use your time out of work to unwind. Recruitment is high pressured. It's often exhilarating, exciting, loads of things going on throughout the week. Make sure that when you're not working, in the evenings and the weekends, that you do things that are going to help you unwind from the job. In recruitment, you will stay late the odd day or come in early if you've got an urgent piece of work, or if the only time you can speak to a candidate is a Friday evening, you often will have to. What I'm talking about is intense, consistent overworking yourself, which is not healthy. In your spare time, do the things you enjoy. Speak to your friends and family. At the weekend, enjoy yourself and unwind. So you're putting yourself in the perfect position on Monday to be refreshed, fully focused on work, and in a really good place. I remember when I started in recruitment, one of the mistakes I made, and it's partly because I'm super competitive, is I constantly compared myself to the other people I was training with, how I was doing in terms of placements and all my KPIs. Ultimately, we're all different people, we all have different personalities, we do things in different ways, and we work to different speeds. If you're constantly comparing yourself to others, you're always going to be disappointed. Learn to just focus on your own progression. Who cares what everyone else is doing in the office? If your managers are happy with your progress, fantastic. Learn to appreciate your own achievements, your own successes, because you are different to everybody else. Just to put it into perspective, I think I was probably one of the last people in my training group in my first recruitment company to make a placement, and it drove me insane. And it probably took me longer, in all honesty, because I was putting way too much pressure on myself. But I actually ended up being one of the top performers out of my training group, and one of the ones to last the longest in the company as well. So it isn't the be all and end all being the first in everything. Something that is super important in recruitment is being aware of your competition. It's something that, again, you will get more used to over time, but ultimately it's going to be really essential to your success in your career. Being aware of who your competitors are, who they work with, what companies they work with, what candidates of yours they might be working with as well, and acting quickly. Recruitment is a fast game, and you can't sit back and relax if you've got a job that you're working on that one of your top competitors are also working on as well. You need to be getting on the phone and calling your candidates, blocking them, getting permission to represent them, and getting them sent out to the job, because ultimately, if you're sitting back and taking your time, the competition are going to be hot on your toes, taking those opportunities from you. It's about doing quality work at a quick enough pace to be on top and ahead of your competition. Really important tip, learn to become a massive cynic. No, in all honesty, I'm not saying you need to be a negative person all the time and never trust anybody, but ultimately you've got to be thorough and be realistic as well. It's about leaving no stone unturned. If you ask a candidate a question and you're not getting a straight answer, or you're not sure the answer is genuine, you need to probe more. It's about questioning, listening, really being thorough with not just your candidates, with your clients as well. You've got to learn to not be so naive, I think. That's a mistake that we all make at the start of our recruitment careers, where we trust everything everybody says, and sometimes it will come to bite you in the ass, basically. So learn to leave no stone unturned. No question is a stupid question. You are there to be an expert recruiter, and you need to ask questions to be able to do your job effectively. The answers help you do what you need to do. If something doesn't make sense or something doesn't add up, trust your gut and probe further. Things are going to happen sometimes that are out of your control, but the more thorough you are, the less likely you're going to be caught unexpected. And lastly, guys, have fun. You're joining an industry and a career where there are endless opportunities. You can have so much fun. You get to work with exciting and new people every day. You get to experience some weird and wonderful things. Some of the stories I've got from my recruitment career still make me laugh. And you can really make a success of yourself, earn great money. There are so many opportunities. You're always learning. I always say there's never a day in recruitment where you feel like you've cracked it. As soon as you start maybe thinking that, something else hits you that you think, oh my God, I've never experienced that before. So have fun, enjoy it, because you're embarking on an amazing career. Thank you everybody for watching and listening today. If you are new to recruitment and you would like a further chat about some of the things I've spoken about today, my contact details are below this video, so please feel free to get in touch. Alternatively, if you are a recruitment manager or director and you are about to take on a cohort of trainees, or you're planning to, again, I do a lot of work with graduates, training, coaching, and also support people in the hiring process as well. So please feel free to get in touch. I'll continue to be posting monthly videos. If anybody's got any suggestions of topics they'd like me to cover, I do also cover sales topics, not just recruitment as well. Please feel free to add them in the comments box, and I will catch up with you next month.